What if the very first spark of life did not begin in sunlight at all, but in darkness, under crushing weight and endless water? Imagine yourself drifting down through the ocean, farther and farther, until even the faintest glow from the surface disappears. The water grows colder, heavier, more silent. And then, out of the black, strange towers appear, chimneys built of minerals, belching hot clouds into the sea. This is the realm of hydrothermal vents, places where the earth itself breathes heat and chemicals into the ocean. And many scientists believe that it was here, in these unlikely places, that life first began. Hey guys, tonight we are starting a long, gentle journey through the story of life on Earth. Along the way, we will meet creatures that freeze solid and then awaken, forests that are older than nations, and tiny beings that can survive in space. We will see that life is not fragile, but endlessly resourceful, always finding ways to continue. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you'd like, share your location and local time in the comments. I love to see where in the world these quiet stories are being heard. Now, if you're ready, let's begin. Picture the early Earth, more than 4 billion years ago. The surface was harsh volcanoes erupting, meteorites raining down, the air thick with poisonous gases. To us, it would seem like chaos, a world unfit for anything we recognize as life. Yet beneath the seas, deep cracks in the Earth's crust allowed scalding water, rich in minerals, to burst out. Instead of destroying, these vents created small, sheltered chambers where chemical reactions could unfold. The minerals lined up molecules, nudged them together, and perhaps, just once, helped simple chains become something more. In these tiny chambers, the first fragile steps of life might have taken place, shielded from the violent world above. Even today, these hydrothermal vents are home to creatures unlike any others. Great tube worms with red plumes, blind crabs, fish with ghostly eyes, all of them surviving without sunlight. Instead of feeding on plants that capture the sun's energy, they rely on bacteria that use the vents' chemicals as fuel. The bacteria live inside the worms and crustaceans, transforming poison into nourishment. It is a partnership so alien and yet so beautiful. Life built not on light, but on stone and sulfur. It makes you realize that the recipe for life is broader than we once thought. It does not always require warmth and light. Sometimes it only needs a pocket of safety, a steady supply of energy and time. This idea that life may have emerged in such vents changes how we imagine the cosmos. If life could start in darkness, with nothing but chemistry and heat, then perhaps other worlds, icy moons around distant planets, seas locked beneath shells of ice, could also cradle life. Europa, Enceladus, even Titan, worlds that once seemed barren, may in fact echo the early Earth. In a sense, when we look at those faraway moons, we are looking into mirrors of our own origin. The thought is humbling, isn't it? That all the forests, the animals, even you and I, might trace our beginnings back to minerals reacting in darkness. That the story of life is not a tale of fragility, but of resilience. Life is a whisper that refuses to be silenced, even in the most unlikely conditions. And yet, what does it mean for you, lying here tonight, listening? Perhaps it is comforting to know that the life in your body, the cells in your hands, your lungs, your heart carry echoes of that same chemistry. The molecules inside you are descendants of those first experiments in the vents' chambers. When you breathe, when your blood flows, when your heart beats gently as you rest, you are carrying forward a rhythm that began billions of years ago. In that sense, you are never alone. You are part of the same long chain that stretches from the vents' darkness all the way to this quiet night. Think of the vents themselves. They are still there, deep in the oceans, releasing hot water into the cold. Around them, creatures live entire lives without ever knowing sunlight. They do not need stars. They need only the chemistry of their surroundings. And yet, they thrive, building communities in places we once thought impossible. Life, it turns out, does not demand comfort. It only asks for possibility. Give it even the smallest opening, and it will take hold, grow, adapt, and spread. As you picture this scene, perhaps your breathing has slowed. Perhaps you feel the weight of the blankets around you like the gentle weight of the ocean above. And as the vents glow in your imagination, tiny sparks in the deep, you may feel a connection to the oldest parts of the earth. The minerals in your bones, the salts in your blood, the rhythms of your cells, they all come from the earth itself. You are, in truth, part of the planet, remembering its own story. Life's origin remains a mystery. Scientists still debate whether it began in warm ponds, in icy films, or in these deep-sea vents. But what matters for us tonight is the reminder that life has always been bold. It began not in safety, but in risk, not in calm, but in chaos, and it flourished anyway. That resilience, that quiet insistence on being, is something you carry inside you now. Every heartbeat is proof. So tonight, as we start this journey through the wonders of life on Earth, remember that it all may have begun in silence and shadow, in the most unlikely cradle imaginable. Out of darkness came persistence. Out of pressure came endurance. Out of minerals came memory. And eventually, out of that fragile beginning came you. As your thoughts drift, let them sink gently into that image. A black ocean, towers of stone, shimmering heat, and in the smallest pocket of chemistry, the first breath of life. There is nothing you need to do now. Just rest, breathe slowly, and allow yourself to float with the story. For in the beginning, life whispered softly, and you are still part of that whisper tonight. Imagine for a moment that winter has tightened its grip around you. Snow covers every branch, lakes are sealed beneath glassy ice, and the air itself feels brittle and sharp. In such a world, most living things retreat into shelter, conserving energy and waiting for spring's return. But there are some creatures that go beyond hiding. They surrender entirely to the cold, allowing themselves to freeze solid, their hearts silent, their bodies stiff as stone. And yet, when warmth comes back, they awaken as though nothing ever happened. For them, being frozen is not death, it is simply another way of living. One of the most extraordinary examples comes from North America, where a small brown frog, no bigger than your hand, performs this miracle every year. The wood frog, with its modest appearance and quiet demeanor, endures winters that would kill most animals. As the temperatures plunge, its body gradually shuts down, blood stops flowing, the heart ceases to beat, water within its tissues turns to ice. By all appearances, the frog is gone, turned into a fragile sculpture of itself. But hidden within its cells is a secret. Glucose, the same simple sugar we use for energy, floods its body and acts like antifreeze. This sugar shields delicate membranes from being pierced by ice crystals, preserving every cell like a library book pressed between glass. For months, the frog remains this way, encased in frost, a silent guest in the frozen earth. Then, spring arrives. The air softens, snow melts, and slowly, miraculously, the frog stirs. Its heart resumes beating. Blood flows again. Eyes open, muscles twitch. Within hours, it hops away, unchanged, ready to sing in vernal pools and begin its life anew. What we would call impossible, it simply calls survival. It is not only frogs that master this frozen dream. Insects, too, have their own methods. Tiny invertebrates produce glycerol, another chemical that acts like antifreeze, lowering the temperature at which ice can form within their bodies. Some insects can withstand temperatures so low they would shatter metal. Beetles in the Arctic survive months, encased in ice, only to crawl out as if from a deep, dreamless sleep. Even small crustaceans, creatures of ponds and streams, can halt their lives when winter strikes, their bodies frozen stiff until the thaw releases them. These adaptations remind us that life does not fear extremes. It prepares for them. It learns to endure them. And in doing so, it reveals a profound truth. Survival is not always about constant motion. Sometimes it is about patience, about holding still until the world softens again. In a way, these creatures embody what we all feel at times, the need to pause, to rest, to trust that warmth will return. Even beyond the Earth's surface, frozen life has been found waiting. In Siberia, seeds of flowering plants have been unearthed from the permafrost, preserved for tens of thousands of years. When scientists carefully revived them in a laboratory, the seeds sprouted, stretching delicate stems toward the light, as though the Ice Age had never happened. Imagine that. A plant that began its life before human civilization existed, continuing its journey in the modern world. Frozen time, made green again. The resilience of frozen life is not just a curiosity. It offers hints about possibilities beyond Earth. If frogs can survive being frozen solid, and seeds can endure for millennia in ice, then perhaps frozen moons or icy planets in our solar system may also harbor dormant life. Europa's crust, thick with ice, or the permafrost of Mars could be hiding fragile organisms waiting for warmth. The lesson is clear. Life can wait, quietly, patiently, even when conditions seem unbearable. And yet, as remarkable as these adaptations are, they are not loud or dramatic. They happen quietly, beneath the snow, hidden from view. The frogs do not announce their survival. The insects do not proclaim their endurance. They simply rest. They let time pass. And when the world changes, they are ready. There is a lesson in that, too, that sometimes the strongest act is to do nothing, to be still, to let the harshness of the season pass over you until it is safe to move again. Perhaps that idea resonates with you tonight. As you lie in bed, listening to these words, you may feel the weight of your own winter, the long days, the heavy thoughts, the challenges that seem unyielding. But remember the frogs, the seeds, the insects. They do not resist the cold, they accept it, they endure it. And then, when the warmth returns, they awaken, alive and unchanged. You too can rest. You too can trust that tomorrow brings change, and that even long winters eventually give way to spring. The image is soothing if you let it be. A frog, frozen under a blanket of snow, perfectly still. Around it, silence reigns, broken only by the faint crackle of ice shifting. Above, the stars shine coldly in the sky. Time passes, unnoticed. Then one day, a drip of water, a trickle, a flood. The frog's skin softens. Its heart beats once, twice, and then fully awakens. Life resumes as though it had never paused. A continuity so seamless, so graceful. It feels like a dream you cannot quite recall upon waking. As your eyes grow heavy, think of yourself like that frog, wrapped in stillness, held gently by the season. Nothing is required of you now but to rest, to breathe slowly, to allow time to flow around you. Survival, after all, is not always about effort. Sometimes it is simply about trust. Trust in your body, trust in the cycle of the earth, trust that warmth will return. Life on Earth is endlessly inventive, and in this second chapter of our journey, it shows us that even the coldest silence can be endured, that frozen does not always mean finished, that waiting is also a form of strength, and that when the time is right, life awakens fresh, whole, and ready to continue. So close your eyes if they are not already closed. Feel the rhythm of your own breath, steady and slow, like snow falling softly onto the ground. Imagine the frozen creatures beneath the surface, safe and quiet, waiting for their moment. And know that you too are part of that same rhythm, part of life's unbroken thread that stretches across winters and thaws, across nights and mornings, across silence and song. Imagine diving deeper than sunlight could ever reach, down past the shifting blue, past the twilight shadows, into a world where light simply does not exist. Here, in the black depths of the ocean, it is colder than ice and heavier than stone. For most of us, such a place feels unlivable, an endless night with no warmth and no sky. And yet, this darkness is not empty. It is alive. Entire ecosystems flourish here, sustained not by the sun, but by chemistry and the quiet persistence of life. For centuries, people believed the sun was the foundation of all living things. Plants drank its rays. Animals ate those plants. And on the cycle went, every creature drawing power from the same star. But then, when explorers sent submersibles into the abyss, they found something extraordinary. Forests of giant tube worms clustered around vents, pale crabs crawling in the shadows, fish with translucent skin gliding silently. None of these creatures had ever seen the Sunday, and yet they thrived. The secret lies in tiny bacteria that use a process called chemosynthesis. Instead of light, they feed on chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, released by the Earth's hot vents. These bacteria form the foundation of a food chain unlike any other. Tube worms house them within their bodies, allowing the bacteria to nourish them from the inside. Crabs and shrimp feed on the worms. Fish feed on the crabs. A whole community unfolds in silence, proof that life does not require sunlight, it only requires energy. In caves deep underground, another darkness exists. Here too, creatures have abandoned the Sunday fish that live in these caves, often lose their eyes entirely, for sight is useless in eternal night. Instead, they sharpen other senses, detecting vibrations, tastes, or chemical trails in the water. Their skin grows pale, almost ghost-like, blending into the shadows of stone. They never rise to see the day. For them, darkness is not a prison. It is simply home. It is humbling to think of these worlds, oceans and caves, where life has built itself from nothing but darkness and chemistry. They remind us that life is not tied to one rulebook. It adapts, it bends, it discovers pathways we never imagined. And when you picture these creatures tonight, drifting in black water, glowing faintly, or crawling by touch alone, perhaps you too feel that adaptation is quiet, patient, and unstoppable. Some of the animals that inhabit these dark worlds have taken on shapes that seem almost alien. The anglerfish, for instance, carries a glowing lure on its forehead, a beacon made of bioluminescent bacteria. In the endless dark, this light is irresistible to prey. Fish and squid approach, mistaking the glow for safety, and are swallowed whole in a sudden flash of teeth. To us, it may look eerie, even frightening. But for the anglerfish, it is just life, an elegant trick of survival where the sun cannot follow. Others, like deep-sea jellyfish, create light within their own bodies. Some glow continuously, casting a soft, lantern-like aura as they drift. Others erupt in sudden flashes, like underwater fireworks, confusing predators or dazzling mates. In a place where the sun never shines, these creatures bring their own stars, tiny galaxies of light moving with the currents. It is not emptiness here, but a living constellation hidden beneath the waves. And then there are the simplest of beings, bacteria, living miles below the sea floor, inside the rock itself. These microbes do not need sunlight or organic food. They survive on the barest trickle of chemical energy, enduring pressures and silences that seem unimaginable. For them, centuries may pass in slow motion, life ticking forward at the pace of stone, and yet they endure, quietly proving that life is patient beyond our understanding. As you lie in bed tonight, it may feel strange to imagine a world so different from the one you know. No skies, no trees, no daylight, only darkness, chemistry, and silence. But there is comfort in this thought. If life can thrive there, in conditions so harsh and alien, then resilience is everywhere. The same resilience is within you. When you face your own dark moments, you too carry hidden energy, the quiet power to continue even when the sun is not shining on you directly. Picture yourself floating in that deep ocean now. The water is cool, the pressure gentle, like the weight of blankets over your body. Around you drift strange creatures, tube worms swaying, fish gliding, jellyfish glowing faintly. It is not frightening, it is peaceful. The darkness is complete, but it is calm, wrapping you like a cradle. You realize that you are safe here, part of a quiet world that has survived for eons without light. The existence of such places changes how we look at the universe. If Earth can host life in total darkness, then perhaps other planets and moons can as well. Beneath the icy shells of Europa or Enceladus, oceans stretch in eternal night. Could they too be alive with glowing worms and swimming shadows? We cannot know yet. But the possibility feels closer, more real, because of what we see on our own planet. The darkness, it turns out, may not be empty at all. And so, as your eyes grow heavier, think of these worlds without sunlight, not barren, not lifeless, but brimming with their own kinds of beauty. Creatures that never saw a dawn, yet endure. Ecosystems that hum quietly in silence. Light born not from stars, but from within. All of it proof that life does not fear the dark. It only learns to live there. Breathe slowly now. Let the rhythm of your breath match the drifting currents of the deep. In, like the swell of a wave. Out, like the fall of the tide. You are part of this rhythm, part of the same story that began in darkness and continues still. The night is not empty. It is full of hidden life, waiting gently, quietly, eternally. Picture a moonlit ocean, calm and endless. The waves rise and fall in a gentle rhythm, and beneath their surface, translucent shapes drift like living lanterns. They pulse slowly, their bodies glowing faintly with reflected light, as if the sea itself were breathing. These are jellyfish creatures, so ancient, so enduring, that they have witnessed nearly the entire story of life on Earth. They were here before trees, before flowers, even before the first dinosaurs took their steps. For over 500 million years, jellyfish have floated through the oceans, delicate and mysterious, yet strong enough to outlast extinction after extinction. It may seem impossible that such simple beings could survive so long. A jellyfish has no brain, no bones, no heart. Its body is little more than a soft bell of tissue, made mostly of water, and yet this simplicity has proven to be a design of remarkable success. By drifting with the currents, feeding on plankton and small fish, and reproducing in cycles that can adapt to changing seas, jellyfish have persisted while countless other creatures vanished. They are not fragile relics of the past, they are survivors, moving poems of persistence written in water. Imagine looking back through time itself. Forests rise and fall, mountains erode, continents drift apart. Entire lineages of animals appear and then vanish. But through it all, jellyfish continue to pulse gently through the waves, as though time barely touches them. Their design has needed little improvement. Nature found something that worked, and let it endure. Watching one drift slowly across the sea is like gazing into deep time, a living thread connecting the present to a world unimaginably old. Some jellyfish are tiny, no bigger than a fingernail, almost invisible as they float among plankton. Others are giants, their bells wider than a human is tall, their tentacles stretching for dozens of meters. The lion's mane jellyfish, for instance, trails stinging filaments longer than the length of a blue whale. And yet, whether small or enormous, they move with the same quiet grace, rising, pulsing, drifting, always part of the sea's eternal rhythm. Their beauty becomes even more mysterious when you consider their ability to glow. Many jellyfish are bioluminescent, producing their own light in shades of blue or green. In the dark depths, these gentle pulses of radiance look like stars scattered through the water, entire galaxies floating beneath the waves. Sometimes they use their glow to confuse predators, flashing suddenly to startle and escape. At other times, the light lures prey closer. But to us, the effect is simply enchanting, a reminder that the ocean hides not only life but also wonder. Some species even appear to defy aging itself. The tiny Turritopsis dornii, often called the immortal jellyfish, can revert its cells to an earlier stage of life, starting its cycle over again. When stressed or injured, instead of dying, it returns to its polyp form and begins anew, as if pressing a reset button. Scientists study this process closely, curious about what it might reveal about longevity and resilience. Though no creature is truly immortal, the jellyfish shows us that life can bend the rules of time in astonishing ways. To encounter a bloom of jellyfish is to witness nature's quiet spectacle. Sometimes, ocean currents gather thousands upon thousands of them together, filling the water with translucent bells that stretch as far as the eye can see. From above, satellites have even captured images of these swarms, vast, shifting clouds of life drifting just below the surface. For fishermen and swimmers, such gatherings can be challenging, even dangerous. But for those who pause to watch, they are mesmerizing. A ballet of water and light, performed by beings older than memory. Jellyfish have also played a role in human curiosity. Sailors through history told stories of seas that glowed with fire, their ships surrounded by flickering light. In truth, it was often blooms of bioluminescent jellyfish and plankton, creating these ghostly spectacles. Even today, researchers use jellyfish proteins, like the green fluorescent protein that glows under certain light, to study cells and DNA. Tools that have advanced modern medicine and deepened our understanding of life itself. From drifting silently in the sea, jellyfish have given us insights into the very fabric of biology. Perhaps what is most soothing about jellyfish is their rhythm. Unlike fish that dart and chase, or whales that leap and sing, jellyfish simply pulse, in, out, contract, release. Their movements echo the rhythm of breathing, of waves, of the beating heart. Watching them can feel hypnotic, as though they are teaching us the art of slowing down, of letting the currents carry us without resistance. They are reminders that life does not always need to be hurried or complex. Sometimes, survival is simply a matter of floating, of trusting the water to hold you. As you lie in bed tonight, think of them drifting under the moonlit sea, the water cool and still, the jellyfish glowing faintly like lanterns in the dark. Imagine yourself joining them, weightless, breathing in time with their gentle pulses. There is no need to rush, no need to strive. The ocean cradles you, and time itself slows, stretching outward the way it has for 500 million years. The persistence of jellyfish tells a larger story too. It tells us that simplicity can endure, that resilience does not always roar with strength, but sometimes whispers with patience. And that beauty can be found not in complexity, but in the quiet grace of something that drifts, pulses, and survives. Jellyfish may not think or plan, but they embody endurance in its purest form. They have been here since the dawn of complex life, and they will likely remain long after we are gone. So breathe slowly now. Let your thoughts drift like jellyfish across the vast, quiet ocean of your mind. You are part of that same story, enduring, adapting, moving with the currents of time. Just as they have floated through ages of change, you too will find your way through the tides of life. In their soft glow and steady rhythm, you can find peace. Imagine walking through a rocky canyon, the walls rising high above you, layers of stone pressed together by countless ages. To most of us, these rocks feel lifeless, silent, unchanging. We pick them up, skip them across rivers, build walls from them, never imagining that they could nourish anything. Yet, hidden deep within their surfaces, invisible to the naked eye, there are creatures that see stone not as a barrier, but as food. They eat minerals. They strip electrons from the very bones of the earth. And in doing so, they remind us that life has far more ways of living than we could ever dream. These organisms are called lithotrophs, a word that means rock eaters. Unlike plants that use sunlight or animals that eat plants and one another, lithotrophs find their energy in the chemistry of minerals. Iron, sulfur, manganese, even uranium becomes fuel for their survival. They are the miners of the microbial world, endlessly chipping away at stone, using chemistry as their currency. While we build machines and dig mines to gather resources, these microbes have been doing it quietly, patiently, for billions of years. Imagine the depths of the Earth's crust, miles below the surface where no light has ever touched. In tiny pores filled with water, entire communities of these rock-eating microbes exist. They move so slowly that their life cycles are measured not in days or months, but in centuries. A single cell might divide once in 100 years, and yet that is enough. Down there, time stretches differently. Life does not need to hurry when the stone around it has waited for eons. It is astonishing to realize that the very chemistry of our planet has been shaped in part by these unseen miners. As they strip electrons from minerals, they subtly transform the rocks themselves. Over billions of years, they may have helped sculpt the composition of Earth's crust, preparing the way for the more familiar forms of life that followed. Some scientists even suggest that without these microbes, Earth's environment would not have become the one we now call home. The oceans, the air, the soil, all of them carry traces of their quiet work. When researchers discovered these communities, it expanded our imagination of where life might exist elsewhere in the cosmos. If microbes can feed on stone here, why not on Mars, where iron and sulfur abound? Why not on Europa or Enceladus, where liquid water seeps through cracks in icy crusts and touches mineral-rich rock beneath? These microbes are, in a way, ambassadors of possibility. They whisper to us that life does not need sunlight, plants, or even organic matter. It can build itself from stone, given patience and the right chemistry. Think of it. A rock you might hold in your hand today could be a banquet for billions of microscopic guests. The iron that gives it color, the sulfur veining through its cracks, the trace uranium glittering faintly, each of these is a potential feast. The rock itself is not dead. It is part of an unbroken exchange, where matter and energy flow in ways we cannot see. The world around us is not just decorated with life, it is infused with it, down to the very stones beneath our feet. Even more astonishing is the resilience these microbes demonstrate. Imagine surviving in a place with no sun, no warmth, no movement. Imagine living on energy so faint that centuries pass between meals, and yet they endure. In their patience, there is strength. In their simplicity, there is power. Life, it seems, does not only flourish in abundance, it can thrive in scarcity too, finding sustenance in what seems to us utterly inert. Perhaps, as you listen, you can imagine yourself in one of those dark cracks beneath the earth, the air above you silent, the soil heavy. All around, stone presses in. Yet within the water trickling through, tiny sparks of life persist. You breathe slowly, matching their pace. You feel no urgency, no need to rush. You are part of the stone, part of the earth's ancient memory, enduring quietly in darkness. It is a strange comfort to know that even there, life continues. Scientists studying these microbes sometimes call them a window into life's earliest days. Before plants and animals, before forests and oceans filled with fish, there may have been only chemistry and stone. Microbes feeding on minerals could have been among the very first forms of metabolism, tiny experiments in survival that set the stage for everything else. To picture that is to see Earth not as barren in its youth, but alive with invisible persistence, even before the world looked welcoming. And yet, their story also stretches into the future. As we imagine sending spacecraft to Mars, drilling into the red soil, or melting through the ice of Europa, it is these microbes we hope to find. Not grand civilizations or towering creatures, but simple cells quietly feeding on rock. They would not sing or shine, but they would prove a profound truth, that life belongs not just to Earth, but to the universe itself. As you lie here tonight, you may feel the weight of stone around you, not heavy in a fearful way, but steady, grounding. Think of the rocks outside your window, silent beneath the grass, ancient and enduring. Within them, perhaps, there are tiny lives moving slowly, so slowly you could never see them. They are content in their pace. They are enough. In their stillness, they teach us something valuable, that life is not always about speed or change or reaching for the Sunday. Sometimes it is about quiet persistence, eating the stones of the earth, one electron at a time. So breathe in deeply now, and let the thought of stone anchor you. Imagine your breath flowing as steadily as a river through rock, carrying energy forward. You are part of this cycle too, part of Earth's chemistry, shaped by the same minerals, carrying within you the same resilience. Nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. All of it is life. Imagine a forest where time itself seems to stand still. You walk among trees that have seen centuries pass, their trunks rising like pillars, their roots woven deep into the soil. The air feels heavy with memory, as though every leaf carries whispers of seasons long gone. Some of these forests are not just old, they are ancient, beyond imagination, older than nations, older than the stories carved into stone. In their persistence lies something close to immortality. One of the most remarkable examples lives quietly beneath the waves of the Mediterranean. Posidonia oceanica, a species of seagrass, forms vast meadows stretching across the seabed. Though each blade may appear ordinary, these grasses are clonal. That means that when a stem grows, it does not stand alone. It connects to a hidden network beneath the sand, sending out shoots that rise as new blades. Over thousands of years, this process continues until an entire meadow is in truth a single organism, vast, ancient, and unified. Some colonies of Posidonia are thought to be more than 100,000 years old. Imagine that, a living being older than every recorded human civilization, still swaying gently with the tides. On land, another silent giant waits. In Utah, in the Rocky Mountains, there is a trembling aspen grove called Pando. At first glance, it appears to be a forest, filled with tens of thousands of slender trees. Their leaves shimmer in the wind, flashing green and silver, as though the whole grove were trembling with breath. But in truth, Pando is not many trees, it is one. Beneath the soil, every trunk is connected to a single root system, one organism that has lived for perhaps 80,000 years. When one trunk dies, others sprout. When fires sweep across the land, the roots endure, sending up new shoots, keeping the lineage alive. Standing among these trees is like stepping outside of human time. Our lives are measured in years and decades. Even the oldest among us remember at most a century. But these beings stretch their presence across millennia. They watched ice ages advance and retreat. They watched mountains crumble and rivers carve valleys. They are not immortal in the way we imagine. Each trunk, each blade, each leaf eventually fades. And yet, the whole continues, undisturbed by the passing of individual parts. Immortality, it seems, is not always about the survival of the single. It is about continuity, about renewal, about being part of something larger than yourself. In other parts of the world, similar clonal colonies exist. Willows and poplars send branches into the soil, which root and rise into new trunks. Ring-shaped clusters of spruces or birches may all be one organism, stretching outward like ripples in water. Even fungi, like the great armillaria in Oregon, form underground networks that spread for kilometers, creating vast, ancient beings that we only glimpse through mushrooms on the surface. Together, these colonies remind us that life does not always draw a sharp line between one individual and another. Sometimes, individuality itself dissolves into community, into a forest that is both one and many. As you think of these ancient groves, perhaps you feel the weight of their endurance. Imagine placing your hand on the bark of an aspen trunk, feeling the cool smoothness beneath your fingers. You know that this tree is only a single expression of something much greater, a note in a song that has been playing for tens of thousands of years. You breathe in, and the forest breathes with you, exchanging carbon and oxygen in a cycle older than language. In that moment, you are not separate. You are part of the same pattern of persistence. The lesson these forests teach us is subtle but powerful. We often think of longevity as belonging to individuals. How long can a person live? How old can a single tree become? But in truth, the deepest form of endurance is found in connection. A clonal forest survives because no one trunk bears the burden alone. When one withers, others rise. The root system, the hidden unity, ensures continuity. In the same way, our lives are part of something larger. Families, communities, humanity itself, all of these extend our presence beyond what one body can hold. Like the aspens, we are both individuals and part of a larger whole. There is something deeply comforting in this idea as you drift towards sleep, that you are never truly alone, that your life is woven into networks of care and memory, stretching across generations. Even when one season ends, the root continues, and new growth rises in its place. The forest of life is ancient, and you are a part of it. Scientists sometimes speak of these clonal organisms as immortal, not because they cannot die, but because their method of living allows them to endure far longer than any one body. The forest does not fear the fall of a single tree. It simply grows again. The seagrass does not mourn a blade lost to the waves. It sends out another, swaying as before. This is not immortality in the way myths describe it. It is gentler, quieter, a kind of immortality built not on resisting change, but on embracing it, allowing death and renewal to weave together seamlessly. So tonight, as you lie here, imagine yourself walking through such a grove. The trunks around you are slender, trembling softly in the breeze. The air smells of earth and leaves, cool and clean. Beneath your feet, an unseen root system stretches out, binding everything together. You pause, take a breath, and feel that connection reach into you as well. You too are rooted in something older than yourself. You too belong to a story that stretches beyond a single lifetime. In these forests of immortality, time moves differently. Seasons are not endings, but transitions. Lives are not solitary, but shared. And endurance is not a struggle, but a gentle unfolding across centuries. If you listen closely, Perhaps you can hear it, the quiet heartbeat of the earth, measured not in days or years, but in the rising and falling of entire forests. Breathe slowly now, in rhythm with that ancient pulse. With each breath, imagine roots spreading quietly beneath you, connecting you to everything that has ever lived. You are not separate. You are not fragile. You are part of an unbroken continuity, stretching back into deep time and forward into futures you cannot yet see. That continuity is your forest, your immortality. Beneath the quiet forests of Oregon, in the cool soil of the Blue Mountains, there lies a secret so vast it is almost beyond comprehension. At first glance, the landscape looks ordinary: scattered pines, patches of wildflowers, and mushrooms sprouting after rain. But hidden beneath the earth is a single organism, stretching silently across nearly 10 square kilometers. It is a fungus called Armillaria ostoyae, and it is one of the largest and oldest living beings on the planet. You could walk for miles across its domain without ever knowing you were treading on the same body, connected by invisible threads. To understand it, imagine a vast, underground web of filaments called mycelium. These strands spread outward like roots of thought, weaving through the soil, wrapping gently around tree roots, feeding, digesting, and recycling. Every mushroom you see above ground is not a separate plant, but a fruiting body of the same organism, a brief expression, like an apple on a tree. The true giant lies beneath, patient and unseen, quietly extending its reach year after year. This colossal fungus is estimated to be thousands of years old, perhaps tens of thousands. Its size and age are difficult to fathom. It weighs hundreds of tons, larger than the heaviest whales, broader than many cities. Yet it does not move or roar or make itself known. It exists in stillness, thriving in the shadows, shaping the forest from within. What makes this fungus remarkable is not just its size, but its role in the ecosystem. It threads itself into tree roots, sometimes as a parasite, sometimes as a recycler. It digests wood from within, slowly breaking down fallen trunks, returning nutrients to the soil. It also consumes the weak and the dying, clearing space for new growth. In this way, it is both destroyer and giver, an invisible hand guiding the rhythm of the forest. If you close your eyes, you might imagine walking through that Oregon forest. The air smells of pine and damp earth. The ground beneath your feet is springy, alive with roots and unseen filaments. Around you, trees stand tall, but you realize they are connected in ways you cannot see. The mushrooms that peek through the soil are like signals, small lanterns announcing the presence of something much greater below. You are not walking alone, you are treading across the living skin of a hidden giant. It is humbling to think that such an organism could exist without most of us ever knowing. We notice the loud, the bright, the obvious, but the most enduring lives are often the quietest. This fungus does not call attention to itself. It spreads invisibly, cell by cell, year after year. In its patience, it has outlasted storms, fires, and centuries of change. To walk its territory is to walk across a memory older than our histories. The hidden fungus also invites us to think differently about individuality. We are used to seeing each mushroom as separate, each tree as distinct. But beneath the soil, boundaries blur. The forest becomes a single organism, connected by networks of mycelium, exchanging nutrients and signals. In this view, life is not a collection of individuals, but a woven fabric, threads looping endlessly through earth and time. The giant fungus is not separate from the forest. It is part of its voice, its memory, its body. Scientists sometimes call organisms like this humongous fungi, but the word hardly captures their subtle majesty. There is nothing monstrous here. There is only persistence, quiet and steady. If anything, The hidden fungus feels like a reminder of the power of patience. Growth does not always need to be visible. Connection does not always need to be loud. Some of the most profound presences in the world exist silently, beneath our notice, shaping life all the while. As you rest tonight, perhaps you can imagine yourself lying upon that forest floor. The air is cool. The leaves rustle gently. Beneath you, threads of mycelium weave silently, carrying signals from one root to another, digesting, recycling, feeding. You are part of it too, breathing in the oxygen the forest gives, exhaling what it needs in return. You are connected by invisible threads, woven into the same fabric. The giant fungus reminds you, even when unseen, you are never separate. There is a comfort in this thought, that just as the forest is held together by its hidden networks, so too are we held by connections we cannot always see: family, friends, memories, communities, even the quiet bonds of nature itself. We may feel alone at times, but beneath the surface, the threads are there, anchoring us, feeding us, reminding us that we belong to something larger. The story of the hidden giant also widens our imagination of what life can be. We often picture living beings as animals or plants, moving or blooming, reaching for the sunday. But fungi show us another path. They are architects of the unseen, shaping worlds beneath the soil, guiding forests in silence. Without them, dead wood would pile endlessly, nutrients would stagnate, cycles would falter. Life needs its hidden caretakers, and fungi are among the greatest. So breathe softly now, and let the thought of that underground giant soothe you. Imagine its threads stretching endlessly outward, a vast, gentle web holding the forest together. Feel yourself part of that web, steady and secure. You are not a solitary being floating through time. You are part of a hidden giant too, part of the living earth that has persisted for ages. When you sleep tonight, let your dreams drift through that forest. See the mushrooms glowing faintly after rain, scattered like stars on the forest floor. Know that beneath them lies something ancient and patient, a reminder that greatness does not always stand tall or shine brightly. Sometimes, greatness lies in silence, in endurance, in the quiet act of being. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself as a vast landscape, not a single body, but a city alive, bustling, filled with countless inhabitants. The streets are your veins, the plazas your organs, the buildings your tissues. And within this city lives a population so immense that it outnumbers the very cells you call your own. These are your microbes, bacteria, fungi, archaea, and viruses, collectively called the microbiome. They are so numerous, so deeply embedded in your being, that to think of yourself as only you is to miss half the story. You are not a solitary organism. You are a walking, breathing community. For every human cell in your body, there is at least one microbial cell, and likely more. This means that when you look in the mirror, more of what you see is not strictly human, but an ecosystem, a living mosaic. On your skin, in your gut, in your mouth, and even in the folds of your lungs, billions of these companions reside. They are small beyond imagination, yet together they shape your health, your digestion, your energy, even your mood. Without them, you would not be whole. In your digestive system alone, trillions of bacteria work tirelessly, breaking down fibers you cannot digest, producing vitamins you cannot make, and training your immune system to recognize friend from foe. Some even send signals that reach your brain, influencing how you feel, how you respond to stress, how deeply you rest. In a quiet way, your microbiome is part of your mind as well as your body. It is not separate from you. It is part of the orchestra that plays your life. Think of it like this. Your gut is not a lonely tunnel, but a crowded marketplace, buzzing with activity. Microbes trade nutrients, compete for space, form alliances, and keep the peace. When the balance is right, everything flows smoothly. When the balance falters, disease and discomfort follow. But even then, the system seeks harmony, adapting and shifting like a city recovering from storms. You are never without their presence. They are as much a part of you as your heartbeat. On your skin, microbes form another community. Some protect you by outcompeting harmful invaders. Others influence how wounds heal. Still others help maintain the very scent of your body. When you touch another person, shake a hand, or embrace, you exchange not only warmth, but also countless microscopic companions. It is a quiet reminder that contact is not just emotional, but biological, that your community expands with every interaction. Even the air you breathe carries microbial travelers, joining your inner city for brief stays before moving on. You are never isolated. You are permeable, porous, a participant in a constant exchange with the world around you. Each breath, each bite, each step carries with it new residents, new stories, new additions to your inner ecosystem. Some of your microbial companions are ancient allies. Over millions of years, they have co-evolved with you, shaping your immune system and even your DNA. Others are recent arrivals, drifting in with diet, environment, or contact. Together, they create a shifting map that is as unique as a fingerprint. No one else in the world has the exact same microbial city you do. You are, in a very real sense, a singular habitat. What is astonishing is how this hidden city behaves like any other. It communicates, it defends, it adapts. Signals move through chemical messengers, much like traffic lights or street signs. Resources are shared, competition regulated, peace maintained. And when challenges arise, illness, stress, scarcity, the city responds, reorganizing itself to keep you alive. It is easy to forget this quiet labor, but it is ongoing, moment by moment, even as you rest tonight. Perhaps the most soothing thought is this: you are never alone. Within you, countless lives hum softly, working in concert, ensuring your survival. Their voices are not loud, but they are steady. Their presence is not visible, but it is real. As you breathe now, as your body relaxes into stillness, the city within continues, never sleeping, never ceasing, always holding you in its rhythm. Imagine now that you could shrink yourself and walk the streets of this inner city. Around you would tower cell walls like skyscrapers. Rivers of nutrients would flow like traffic through arteries. Tiny beings would bustle past you, carrying signals, building proteins, exchanging energy. It would be both alien and familiar, a metropolis alive inside your very skin, and yet all of it would be you. Scientists sometimes speak of the microbiome as an organ in its own right, one you cannot see but cannot live without. It is not housed in one place but spread throughout you, an invisible companion that carries as much weight as your heart or liver. Its presence teaches us that identity is not as simple as we imagine. You are not one thing, but many things, woven together. You are an us, a collective, and that is what makes you whole. There is comfort in this, especially as you prepare to sleep, that even as you surrender consciousness, closing your eyes, your inner city keeps moving. The night does not silence it. The microbes continue their work, steady and faithful. You can rest because they do not. They are your quiet guardians, your invisible citizens, watching over you in every moment. So breathe deeply now. Feel the air move through your lungs, carrying oxygen not only to your own cells, but to the communities within. Feel your heartbeat, steady and calm, pulsing life into this inner metropolis. With every breath, every beat, you are sustaining not just yourself, but the city that sustains you. When you wake tomorrow, you will rise not alone, but accompanied by countless companions, each one playing its part in your ongoing survival. You are a city, a forest, a universe of life contained within. And tonight, as you drift into sleep, you can rest knowing that this city is safe, alive, and endlessly resilient. Imagine holding a tiny drop of water under a microscope. At first, it looks empty, just a shimmer of liquid against the glass. But then, slowly, something moves. A plump, wrinkled creature with 8 stubby legs appears, shuffling forward with a gentle determination. Its body looks almost like a pillow with claws, its face ending in a small snout. This is the tardigrade, often nicknamed the water bear. Though it is less than a millimeter long, it carries a secret so profound that it has captured the imagination of scientists and dreamers alike. The ability to survive conditions that seem utterly impossible. When life becomes harsh, the water bear does not panic. Instead, it enters a state called cryptobiosis. In this state, its body dries out almost completely, shrinking into a tiny ball. Its metabolism slows to nearly nothing, as if time itself has stopped. In this form, the tardigrade can endure temperatures far below freezing and far above boiling. It can withstand crushing pressures at the bottom of the ocean and the emptiness of outer space. It can survive blasts of radiation that would kill nearly any other creature. Years later, when water touches its body again, it simply wakes up, stretches out, and continues its slow crawl, as though nothing unusual has happened. To think of such resilience in something so small is humbling. The tardigrade is not fast or strong. It does not roar or hunt or build. It simply persists. And in its persistence lies a kind of quiet greatness. In laboratories, scientists have frozen tardigrades, solid, boiled them, exposed them to the vacuum of space, and still they survived. In 2007, some tardigrades were even sent into orbit, drifting beyond Earth's protective atmosphere. They endured cosmic radiation, freezing cold, and the void itself, and when they returned, they revived with only a drop of water. How does it manage this? The secret lies in special proteins and sugars within its body. These substances stabilize its cells, protecting DNA and membranes from damage. It is as though the tardigrade carries its own shield, folding time and danger around itself until conditions become safe again. It does not resist catastrophe, it outweights it. And when the world softens once more, it awakens, continuing as if nothing had happened. In a way, the tardigrade embodies the dream of immortality, not by living forever, but by enduring what would end nearly all other life. It reminds us that survival is not about size or strength, but about patience and adaptability. Even the smallest creature can hold within it lessons as vast as the stars. Perhaps that is why people sometimes look at the tardigrade and think of life beyond Earth. If such beings can survive boiling, freezing, radiation, and vacuum, then perhaps similar creatures could exist on other worlds. Mars, with its dry soil and bursts of radiation, might not seem so impossible. Europa, with its icy oceans, could harbor microscopic beings that wait out harsh cycles in hidden crevices. Even drifting between the stars, shielded by frozen shells, life may endure in forms we have yet to see. The tardigrade whispers to us that survival is not limited to comfort zones. Life, once sparked, finds ways to persist. Now imagine yourself shrinking down to its scale. You would see moss forests rising like jungles, grains of sand as boulders, droplets of water as shimmering lakes. And there, moving slowly, the water bear trudges on. Its steps are unhurried, its purpose simple. There is no rush, no struggle, only persistence. Watching it can feel strangely calming, like observing a miniature meditation on endurance. As you lie here tonight, think of the tardigrade as a tiny guardian of patience. It does not fear extremes. It simply adapts, closes in, and waits. You too carry that resilience inside you, even if you never need to face boiling heat or the vacuum of space. In your own life, there will be winters and storms, challenges that seem overwhelming. But like the tardigrade, you can pause, protect yourself, and trust that gentler days will come. You can endure. There is something almost poetic in the idea that such resilience lives in a creature so small it is nearly invisible. Greatness, it seems, does not always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in moss on a rock, in a droplet of dew, in the quiet crawl of a water bear under a microscope. And yet, from its smallness, it tells us something vast, that life's persistence is not measured in strength, but in patience. Breathe slowly now, in rhythm with that thought. Inhale as though you are gathering strength. Exhale as though you are releasing fear. With each breath, imagine yourself curling gently, as the tardigrade does in cryptobiosis, safe and steady. Nothing can harm you here. You are protected, patient, waiting for the warmth of tomorrow. When you sleep tonight, let the image of the water bear drift with you. A tiny creature in a vast universe, carrying secrets of survival in its small, wrinkled body. It reminds you that you, too, are capable of more than you realize. That endurance can be quiet. That persistence can be gentle. And that even the smallest lives hold lessons that echo across the cosmos. Beneath the surface of the ocean, hidden in coral reefs and drifting currents, there are creatures that remind us how fluid and flexible life can be. They do not live by fixed rules. Instead, they shift, they transform, they change themselves to fit the needs of their community. To watch them is to realize that even the most basic aspects of life, like sex, identity, and reproduction, are not as rigid as we might think. Beneath the waves, nature has written its own story of transformation, a story told through fish that can change sex during their lifetimes. Consider the clownfish, bright orange and white, darting among the protective tentacles of sea anemones. In every group of clownfish, there is a hierarchy. At the top is the dominant female, the largest of the group. Beneath her are several males, smaller and less dominant. If the female dies, something remarkable happens. The largest male changes, his hormones shift, his body transforms, and he becomes female. In time, he takes her place, continuing the cycle without interruption. In this way, the group ensures that reproduction never falters, that life goes on without pause. In wrasses and groupers, the story is different, but no less astonishing. Many of these fish begin life as females, laying eggs in abundance. But as they grow larger and stronger, some transform into males, capable of defending territories and competing for mates. The change is not just behavioral, it is physical and complete. Reproductive organs restructure, hormone levels swing. Even behaviors shift to match the new role. What was once one sex becomes another, as naturally as the tide shifting from high to low. To us, such transformations might seem extraordinary, even impossible. But in the ocean, they are ordinary. They happen quietly, every day, in countless reefs around the world. Fish slip between categories we thought were fixed, rewriting the rules of biology with ease. In their fluidity, they show us that survival is often about flexibility. When the balance of a group demands change, they adapt. When the environment shifts, they follow. Their bodies are not prisons, but instruments of resilience. Imagine yourself drifting among these reefs, watching the dance of transformation unfold. The water glows turquoise, sunlight scattering into shafts of gold. Fish dart in and out of coral, their scales shimmering. One moment, a fish is female. The next, it begins its quiet transformation, guided not by choice, but by the deep wisdom of survival. There is no fear in this change, no hesitation. It is simply life unfolding in its most adaptable form. There is something soothing about this idea that even what seems fixed can shift. We often think of our identities, our roles, as permanent, but nature shows us otherwise. Life is more fluid than we imagine. Survival depends not only on strength, but on the willingness to change, to bend, to become something new when the world demands it. In the ocean, transformation is not weakness. It is a gift. The ocean is full of other examples of this fluidity. Some eels travel thousands of miles to spawn, changing from freshwater to saltwater creatures along the way. Some shrimp transform from one sex to another as they age, balancing their communities. Each story adds to the same lesson. Life is not static. It is movement, adaptation, transformation. To resist change is to struggle. To accept it is to endure. As you rest tonight, let that lesson wash over you. Imagine yourself as fluid as the fish, able to shift and adapt with the tides of your own life. Whatever roles you have carried, whatever changes lie ahead, you too can transform. You too can bend without breaking. You too can carry forward the wisdom of survival written into the very fabric of life. Picture now the reef itself, glowing with color, alive with motion. Schools of fish weave through coral branches like ribbons of light. In the distance, a clownfish darts among the arms of an anemone, secure in its living fortress. Somewhere nearby, a wrasse changes quietly, stepping into a new role as if guided by an unseen hand. All of it happens without conflict, without resistance. The reef accepts these transformations as part of its natural rhythm, as ordinary as the rise and fall of the tide. There is comfort in imagining your own life in the same way. Change need not be feared. It can be embraced, even welcomed. Just as the fish accept their shifting roles, you can accept the transformations that come with time, new stages, new identities, new ways of being. Life is not diminished by change. It is renewed by it. Breathe slowly now, as though you are drifting with those fish. Inhale the calm of the reef. Exhale the weight of rigidity. With each breath, imagine yourself glowing softly, scales shimmering, body fluid as water. You are not bound. You are free to change, free to adapt, free to continue your journey in whatever form life requires. The ocean whispers this truth gently. Survival is not about staying the same. It is about shifting with the currents, becoming what is needed, trusting that transformation is part of the great design. The fish know this. The reef knows this. And tonight, perhaps you can feel it too, in the quiet rhythm of your own breath. Imagine a small pond in Mexico, its waters quiet and shallow, fringed by reeds and floating lilies. Beneath the surface, among the stones and roots, lives a creature that looks almost like a myth. Its body is long and smooth, its skin pale and soft. From each side of its head rise delicate feathery gills, like pink plumes drifting in the current. And on its face rests a permanent, gentle smile. This is the axolotl, sometimes called the Mexican walking fish, though it is no fish at all. It is a salamander, and it carries within it a gift so extraordinary that scientists still marvel at it: the power to regenerate not just limbs, but organs, spinal cords, even parts of its brain. Most animals, when injured, heal with scars. Wounds close, tissue thickens, and the body accepts its losses. But the axolotl follows a different path. When one of its legs is damaged or lost, the cells at the wound site do something remarkable. They revert to a flexible state, almost as if they have turned back time, becoming similar to stem cells. These cells then multiply and organize, rebuilding what was lost, not just roughly, but perfectly. Bone, muscle, nerves, skin all restored in the right places, with full function. An axolotl can regrow the same limb again and again, as though injury were merely an interruption, never an ending. And its powers do not stop there. Axolotls have been shown to regenerate parts of their spinal cords, their jaws, their hearts, even sections of their brains. What we would consider permanent damage, they consider temporary. Their bodies hold a memory of wholeness, a blueprint for renewal, that allows them to restore what was broken. For them, regeneration is not a miracle. It is simply life's rhythm. To watch an axolotl glide through water is to see gentleness embodied. Its gills wave softly, catching oxygen like fans. Its small legs paddle slowly, never hurried, as though it has all the time in the world. It carries itself with a quiet patience, and in its smile we see something both alien and comforting. It is a reminder that resilience does not always roar. Sometimes it is quiet, soft, and smiling, even in the face of loss. Scientists study axolotls closely, hoping to uncover the secrets of their regenerative powers. If humans could unlock even a fraction of that ability, we might learn to heal spinal injuries, repair damaged hearts, or regrow tissues thought gone forever. The axolotl, drifting calmly in its pond, may one day help us rewrite the story of medicine. But beyond science, its lesson is also spiritual. It shows us that renewal is possible, that even when something seems lost, life may find a way to restore itself. Perhaps you can feel the comfort in that tonight. Think of the wounds you have carried, whether in body, heart, or mind. Like the axolotl, you too hold a memory of wholeness, a quiet potential for healing. It may not come as swiftly or as visibly, but within you there is resilience, the ability to mend, to grow, to continue. Healing is not always about forgetting the wound. Sometimes it is about remembering the possibility of renewal. In their native lakes around Mexico City, axolotls have long been seen as symbols of transformation and survival. Their name comes from Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs, often translated as water monster, or linked to the god Xolotl, a deity of death and rebirth. To the ancient people, this smiling creature was not just an animal. It was a myth made flesh, embodying the cycle of endings and new beginnings. Even today, as their wild populations dwindle, axolotls live on in laboratories, aquariums, and imaginations, reminders of nature's quiet magic. Close your eyes now and picture one. Its body glides through clear water. Its gills sway like tiny pink trees in the current. Its eyes are calm, its mouth curved into a serene smile. You feel its presence like a lullaby, soft, unhurried, reassuring. If such a fragile-looking creature can endure, can restore, can smile, even when broken, then perhaps you can too. There is a peace in imagining that kind of resilience. You do not need to be unshakable or unchanging. You do not need to resist every wound. Like the axolotl, you can allow yourself time, patience, and gentleness. You can trust that renewal is part of life's design, that what feels lost may one day return in a new form. Breathe slowly now, in rhythm with its quiet paddling. Inhale as its gills wave outward. Exhale as it drifts forward with ease. With each breath, you join its calm, its patience, its quiet strength. Let it remind you that you, too, are capable of healing, of regrowth, of finding wholeness again. When you sleep tonight, carry the image of the axolotl with you, a smiling salamander, endlessly renewing itself, swimming through still waters beneath lilies and stars. It does not hurry. It does not despair. It simply trusts the rhythm of life, the rhythm of loss and renewal, of endings and beginnings. And as you rest, you can trust that same rhythm too, letting sleep carry you into your own gentle renewal. Imagine a winter night in a quiet marsh. The water is frozen, the reeds stand stiff with frost, and the air carries the stillness of deep cold. Beneath the ice, buried in mud, or tucked beneath layers of fallen leaves, frogs lie motionless. Their lungs do not rise or fall. Their mouths do not open. For weeks, sometimes months, they stop breathing altogether. To us, such a state would mean the end. But for these frogs, it is only a pause, a stillness they have mastered in order to survive. One example is the marsh frog, which spends its winters submerged in mud at the bottom of ponds. Instead of relying on air, it absorbs oxygen directly through its skin, drawing in what little is available in the water. When the oxygen dwindles, its body slows even further, reducing its needs to the barest whisper of life. In this suspended state, time seems to hold its breath as well. The frog waits patiently, unmoving, until the world softens again. Other species carry this stillness even further. Some frogs, like the leopard frog, survive winter by slowing their metabolism so dramatically that they can endure on almost no oxygen at all. Their bodies shift into a kind of quiet balance, neither fully awake nor truly asleep, but held in a space between. This is more than hibernation. It is a lesson in patience written into flesh and bone. The frogs teach us that survival does not always depend on struggle. Sometimes it depends on surrender, on allowing the body to rest deeply, to trust that the season will change. Picture yourself alongside them now. You are lying in soft mud, the cold pressing gently against you, the silence absolute. Around you, water holds still, frozen above your head like glass. You do not need to breathe quickly or move restlessly. Your body slows, matching the rhythm of the earth itself, waiting quietly. The world outside may be harsh, but inside, you are calm, preserved by patience. This ability to endure without breath may sound alien, but it is deeply connected to the story of life itself. Long before animals walked on land, early creatures learned to use the skin as a breathing surface. Frogs, in their stillness, carry echoes of that ancient design. They remind us that even in modern times, life remembers its oldest strategies. Beneath ice and cold, they whisper an ancient truth, that stillness is also strength. In a broader sense, this pattern exists everywhere. Crocodiles slow their hearts to a handful of beats per minute, conserving energy in silence. Turtles bury themselves in mud, drawing oxygen through their skin and cloacas, surviving months without surfacing. Even fish like the goldfish and crucian carp can shift their metabolism to survive without oxygen, producing ethanol instead of lactic acid, enduring winters in dark ponds without suffocating. Across the animal kingdom, the lesson repeats. Patience is survival. Stillness is life. Perhaps this lesson feels familiar to you tonight. In your own life, there are seasons when movement is impossible, when progress feels frozen, when the world presses cold and heavy against you. It is easy to think you must fight, push harder, resist. But nature suggests another path: to be still, to conserve, to trust that the spring will come. Just as the frogs endure winters by resting, you too can endure your own winters by breathing more softly, by letting yourself pause. There is a deep comfort in aligning with that rhythm. Imagine your body as a pond in winter. Thoughts settle like leaves sinking to the bottom. Breath slows, heart steadies, everything held in quiet balance. You are not gone. You are waiting. You are not fragile. You are patient. And when warmth returns, you will rise again, ready to move, ready to sing, like the frogs who awaken in spring. Scientists studying these frogs are fascinated by their endurance. How can cells survive without oxygen for so long? How do organs restart after months of stillness? The answers are complex. Special proteins, slowed metabolism, protective chemistry. But perhaps the greater lesson is not chemical at all. It is philosophical. It shows us that life's strength lies not only in constant activity, but in the ability to pause gracefully, to wait, to endure without rushing. Think of your own breathing now. Inhale gently, hold, exhale slowly. Notice how even a pause between breaths can feel soothing. That brief stillness is not emptiness. It is balance. It is a reminder that you too can breathe in stillness, trusting the rhythm of life to carry you forward. The frogs, silent under ice, are not anxious about time passing. They do not fear missing their chance. They trust that when the thaw comes, they will awaken. Their patience is complete. And as you drift towards sleep, you can join them in that trust. You do not need to solve everything tonight. You do not need to move or strive. You only need to rest, to let the season pass, to trust that spring will come in its own time. So close your eyes now and imagine that frozen pond. Snow falls gently above. Stars shimmer in the cold sky. Beneath the surface, frogs rest quietly, hearts slowed, bodies safe. The silence is profound, but it is not empty. It is full of waiting, full of potential, full of the quiet strength of stillness. You are part of that silence, part of that rhythm. And in your rest tonight, you too are preparing for spring. Imagine sitting by the shore of a quiet tropical lagoon. The water is warm and still, the air heavy with salt and the hum of distant waves. Beneath the surface, in burrows dug into sand and coral rubble, lives a creature so small you might never notice it. Barely a few inches long, with a body that looks delicate and ordinary, it hides a secret of extraordinary power. This is the pistol shrimp, and within its tiny claw lies the ability to unleash a force greater than fire, greater even than the heat of the sun's surface. The pistol shrimp's claw is not like others. One side is oversized, hinged like a weapon waiting to fire. When the shrimp snaps it shut, it does not simply pinch. Instead, it shoots a jet of water so fast that it creates a bubble of low pressure. For a fraction of a second, that bubble collapses violently, producing a shockwave strong enough to stun or kill nearby prey. In that brief instant, the collapsing bubble generates temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun, accompanied by a flash of light, invisible to the human eye. All of this comes not from thunder or fire, but from the claw of an animal small enough to rest in your palm. Imagine the silence of the reef, broken by tiny bursts of sound. A colony of pistol shrimp, thousands strong, snapping their claws together, fills the water with a crackling chorus. Divers say it sounds like bacon frying, or like the static of a distant radio. To predators, it is a warning. To prey, it is the last sound they hear. And yet, to us, it is a marvel, a reminder that immense power can dwell in the smallest of bodies. The pistol shrimp does not hoard this power for violence alone. It uses its claw to build, to dig burrows, to protect its home. Sometimes it even shares that home with goby fish in a remarkable partnership. The shrimp, nearly blind, relies on the goby to act as lookout, while the goby enjoys the safety of the shrimp's fortified burrow. Together, they form an alliance of trust, one digging, one guarding, each depending on the other to survive. In this way, the shrimp's claw is not only a weapon, but a tool of cooperation. Scientists study the pistol shrimp not only for its behavior, but also for the physics behind its snap. How can such a small creature generate so much force? The answer lies in cavitation, the sudden collapse of a bubble that releases enormous energy. Engineers have marveled at this natural ability, seeing in it lessons that might inspire technology. Once again, nature has achieved feats, long before we dreamed of them, writing power into the smallest of designs. There is something soothing in imagining this scene. The reef glows softly with filtered light. Fish drift past, their scales shimmering, and from beneath, faint crackles rise, the sound of pistol shrimp snapping their claws in unison. It is a gentle background, like the whisper of a fire, steady and rhythmic. You realize that beneath the ocean's calm surface, tiny lives are unfolding dramas of immense scale. Yet they do so quietly, hidden from view, reminding us that wonder does not always announce itself loudly. The pistol shrimp teaches us, too, about balance. Its power is immense, but it is not wasted. The shrimp uses it sparingly, with precision, only when needed. It shows us that strength does not need to be constant or loud. It can be quiet, contained, waiting for the right moment. In a world that often urges us to be always active, always loud, the shrimp reminds us that power can be patient, that true strength sometimes lies in knowing when to act and when to remain still. As you lie in bed tonight, imagine holding that tiny shrimp in your hand. Its body is small, its movements quick and cautious. Yet within its claw rests the power to rival stars. You realize then that size does not define significance. Even the smallest beings can carry greatness. Even the tiniest lives can shape the world in ways we scarcely understand. Breathe softly now, in rhythm with the reef. Inhale as though drawing in the warm tide. Exhale as though releasing it back to the sea. Let the crackling chorus of the pistol shrimp become the backdrop of your imagination, steady and calming. Each snap is a reminder that life is full of surprises, that wonder can dwell in the most unexpected places. When you drift into dreams, carry with you the image of the shrimp in its burrow, claw poised, waiting in silence. It does not fear the world. It trusts its gift. It knows that even in its smallness, it holds immense power. And you, too, carry gifts within you, quiet strengths, hidden abilities that may seem small, but hold the power to change your world. Imagine a bird setting out on a journey that stretches beyond the horizon, across mountains, deserts, and oceans. There are no signposts in the sky, no maps, no voices calling directions. And yet, year after year, generation after generation, these birds find their way with astonishing precision. Arctic terns travel from one pole of the planet to the other, crossing tens of thousands of miles. Pigeons released far from home can circle back to their lofts. Warblers weighing less than a handful of coins fly across entire continents. How do they know where to go? The answer lies in a hidden sense, a way of perceiving the Earth itself that scientists call magnetoreception. Our planet is surrounded by a magnetic field, a force that arises from the molten iron churning in its core. This field stretches outward into space, shielding us from solar winds and cosmic radiation. But to certain birds, it is more than protection. It is a map written into the very air, an invisible compass guiding them across the globe. Tiny magnetic particles in their tissues, or light-sensitive proteins in their eyes, allow them to detect this field. Some researchers believe birds can literally see magnetic lines overlaying their vision, faint patterns guiding them across otherwise featureless skies. Picture an Arctic tern gliding over the open ocean. Below it, nothing but water for thousands of miles. Above, a sky that looks the same in every direction. To us, it would feel like being lost in endless blue. But to the tern, the Earth itself is speaking, its magnetic lines forming a path that is as clear as a road. It follows that invisible map unerringly, knowing when to turn, when to climb, when to rest. The journey is not guesswork. It is written into its very being. This hidden navigation is so precise that birds often return to the very same places year after year. Migrating songbirds find the same groves where their ancestors nested. Swallows return to the same barns, the same ledges, generation after generation. Even when storms scatter them or continents shift beneath their flight paths, they adapt, finding new routes guided by the same magnetic whispers of the earth. Scientists have marveled at this ability, trying to imagine what it must feel like. Imagine walking through your city, And, instead of looking at street signs, sensing faint lines pulling you home, imagine closing your eyes and still knowing the way, not by memory, but by feeling the earth itself. For birds, this is not imagination. It is life. It is survival. Some experiments have even shown that birds can become disoriented when exposed to artificial magnetic fields. They flutter in circles, as though the map has been scrambled. And when the natural field is restored, they steady themselves and continue, their inner compass once again aligned with the Earth's deep rhythm. It is as though the planet is singing a low, constant song, and the birds know how to hear it. As you listen tonight, perhaps you can imagine yourself sharing that sense. Feel the Earth beneath you, steady and vast, humming with its hidden field. Imagine faint lines stretching across the horizon, guiding you gently, pointing the way. You are not lost. You are never truly without direction. The earth itself holds you, shows you the path, even if you cannot see it with your eyes. There is a deep comfort in this thought. We often feel uncertain, unsure of where to go next, wondering if we have strayed too far. But the birds remind us that guidance can come quietly, invisibly, from forces greater than ourselves. Just as they trust the magnetic field, we too can trust the rhythms of the earth, the subtle pulls that shape our journeys. Picture a flock of geese flying in formation, their wings beating in slow, steady rhythm. Above them, the stars shine. Beneath them, the earth hums with its hidden map. Each bird trusts the one beside it, trusts the invisible compass within, and together they cross vast distances. Their migration is not frantic. It is steady, calm, assured. You can feel your own breath fall into rhythm, with theirs slow, deep, unhurried, like wings beating softly through the night sky. The idea that birds might see magnetic fields also stirs wonder. Imagine looking at the world and seeing more than we can: lines, patterns, a quiet glow overlaying the sky. It is a reminder that reality is richer than our senses reveal. Just because we cannot see something does not mean it isn't there. Birds live in a world layered with information we can only guess at. And in that unseen layer lies the secret to their journeys. So tonight, as you rest, think of yourself as part of that same earth. You may not feel its magnetic pull directly, but it is there, steady and constant, guiding life across continents and oceans. Your own journey may feel uncertain at times, but beneath it all, there is order, a field that connects you to home, to direction, to purpose. Breathe slowly now, as though you are a bird gliding across the sky. Inhale the calm of open air, exhale the weight of worry. With each breath, feel yourself steadied, guided, carried by invisible forces. Like the birds, you can trust that you are not adrift. You are moving along paths older than memory, written into the planet itself. When you close your eyes, imagine the sky darkening into twilight. The first stars appear. A faint compass glows invisibly across the heavens. You are not lost. You are held by the earth, guided by its deep magnetic song. And as you drift into sleep, you follow that song, steady and sure, across the night. Each autumn, when the days grow shorter and the air begins to cool, something extraordinary stirs across the fields and forests of North America. Millions upon millions of monarch butterflies, fragile creatures with wings thinner than paper, begin to rise into the sky. Their destination lies far to the south, in the mountain forests of central Mexico, where oyamel fir trees wait to cradle them through the winter. The journey is vast, thousands of miles across rivers, plains, deserts, and mountains. And yet, each year, the butterflies return. What makes this journey even more astonishing is that no single butterfly completes the entire round trip. A monarch that leaves Canada in late summer will never see its birthplace again. Instead, its children, grandchildren, or even great-grandchildren will will continue the journey in its place. Generations pass like runners in a relay, each carrying the thread of migration forward until, at last, the descendants arrive at the same groves their ancestors knew. To stand in one of those forests, surrounded by millions of wings that shimmer, orange and black, is to witness a miracle of memory written not in individuals, but in a lineage. The monarch's journey is guided by instincts we barely understand. Some scientists believe they follow the angle of the sun across the sky. Others suggest they sense Earth's magnetic field, like migratory birds. Whatever the mechanism, it leads them unerringly to the same mountains, sometimes even the same trees, generation after generation. Their navigation is not conscious, yet it is precise, as though the earth itself whispers directions into their delicate bodies. Imagine now a single monarch, its wings glowing like stained glass against the light. It rises from a meadow, riding currents of air. Each beat is both fragile and determined. It travels hundreds of miles in its short life, never questioning, never doubting. Its purpose is woven into its very being. And though it may never see the end of the journey, it flies on, trusting that others will complete what it has begun. There is something profoundly calming in this story. The monarch reminds us that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Our lives may be brief in the grand scale, our steps small, but together, across generations, we carry forward a journey that stretches beyond any single lifetime. Just as the butterfly's wings move it closer to forests it will never see, so too our actions ripple outward, shaping futures we may never witness. Standing in a monarch grove in Mexico, the world feels transformed. Branches bend under the weight of thousands of butterflies, their wings folded tight like leaves. As the sun rises, warmth stirs them into motion. Suddenly the forest comes alive with movement, wings opening and closing in unison, filling the air with a sound like rainfall. The trees shimmer, the ground sparkles, the sky itself seems alive. It is not simply a gathering of insects, it is a living symphony, a celebration of persistence across time. For local communities, the arrival of the monarchs is more than a natural event. It is a symbol of return, of continuity, of the cycles that bind life together. In some traditions, the butterflies are thought to carry the souls of ancestors, returning to visit the living. Their migration becomes not only biological, but spiritual, a reminder that life and death, past and present, are woven together. As you breathe slowly now, imagine yourself among those trees. The air is cool, the ground dappled with sunlight, and around you drift countless butterflies, their wings brushing softly like whispers. You feel their presence not as chaos, but as calm, each one a fragment of a larger story. Together, they remind you that life is never solitary, that every journey is shared. Perhaps you can carry that lesson with you tonight. Whatever path you walk, whatever distance you travel, you are not alone. You are part of a larger migration, a movement across time and generations. Just as the monarchs trust their instincts and fly onward, you too can trust that your steps matter, even if you cannot see the end of the journey. Breathe gently, as though your own chest rises and falls like butterfly wings. Inhale the calm of meadows and forests. Exhale the weight of distance and worry. With each breath, feel yourself carried forward, light and steady, part of a rhythm larger than your own. When you drift into sleep tonight, imagine yourself as one of those monarchs, fragile yet tireless, small yet part of something vast. You rise on invisible currents, carried toward warmth and light, your wings shining softly in the twilight. You do not need to know the destination. You only need to fly. And in your trust, in your persistence, the journey continues. Beneath waves that shift from turquoise to indigo, in rocky coves and open seas, lives a creature that feels both alien and familiar. It glides without bones, slips through cracks no wider than its beak, and seems to vanish into its surroundings with a flicker of skin. This is the octopus, one of Earth's most intelligent and mysterious animals. Its very blood and circulation set it apart from nearly every other creature we know. Unlike us, with one heart and red blood, the octopus has 3 hearts and blood that runs icy blue. 2 of its hearts are dedicated to pumping blood through its gills, ensuring oxygen is drawn from the water. The 3rd heart pushes that blood through the rest of the body, fueling muscles and organs. And unlike our iron-based hemoglobin, the octopus carries copper-based hemocyanin, which turns its blood a pale blue. This adaptation allows it to thrive in cold, low-oxygen waters where most animals would struggle. It is a body designed for survival in extremes, a reminder that life invents solutions beyond our imagination. But the marvel of the octopus extends far beyond its circulation. With arms lined in suckers, each capable of tasting and sensing independently, the octopus moves like a dancer with 8 minds. In truth, much of its nervous system is distributed into its limbs, giving each arm a degree of autonomy. Scientists sometimes say an octopus does not have one brain, but 9, 1 central, and 8 smaller centers in its arms. Watching it move is like watching thought itself spread across a body, flowing into each gesture. Imagine the calm of an octopus resting on the seafloor. At first, it blends seamlessly with the rocks, its skin shifting to match every texture and hue. Then, with a sudden ripple, its color changes, its body elongates, and it slides into a crevice no larger than a fist. In an instant, it has vanished, dissolved into its surroundings. This camouflage is not just defense, it is art, a living canvas painted anew with each breath. The intelligence of octopuses adds to their mystery. They solve puzzles, open jars, navigate mazes, and remember solutions for months. In aquariums, keepers tell stories of octopuses escaping tanks at night, raiding neighboring enclosures for food, and returning before morning as though nothing had happened. Some even recognize individual humans, greeting familiar faces and squirting water at those they dislike. Behind their curious eyes lies a mind that evolved along an entirely different path from our own, showing us that intelligence is not a single blueprint, but a possibility written in many forms. There is something almost otherworldly about encountering an octopus. Its arms undulate like smoke. Its gaze lingers with quiet awareness. Its skin ripples with shifting patterns of light and shadow. To look into its eye is to meet an alien intelligence here on Earth, one that feels ancient, enigmatic, and strangely empathetic. It is a reminder that our planet holds mysteries as profound as any we might hope to find among the stars. As you breathe softly now, imagine yourself gliding beside an octopus in the quiet sea. Your heartbeat slows to match its 3, steady and rhythmic. Your blood, like its, feels cool and calm, carrying life with unhurried grace. You sense the water around you, vast and embracing, and you realize that survival can take many forms, that life's wisdom is not confined to one design, but unfolds in endless creativity. There is also a poetry in the octopus's short life. Most species live only a few years. They grow quickly, learn swiftly, and then fade after reproducing. In their brief span, they embody brilliance, camouflage, intelligence, creativity, then vanish, leaving the ocean once more to silence. Their lives remind us that even fleeting existence can be full of wonder, that greatness is not always measured in years, but in moments of brilliance. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, think of the octopus as a companion in your dreams. Let its arms guide you into stillness, wrapping you in soft currents. Let its blue blood remind you of calm, of coolness, of serenity. Let its 3 hearts beat in harmony with your own, carrying you deeper into rest. You do not need to be ordinary to survive. You can be extraordinary in your own way, just as the octopus is a living poem of the sea. Breathe slowly now. Inhale as though the ocean fills you. Exhale as though you are drifting weightless, safe, unseen. With each breath, you are carried further from worry, further into calm, further into the embrace of sleep. The octopus teaches us that life's mysteries are vast and unending, that intelligence can bloom in unexpected forms, that survival can be painted in colors, patterns, and blood, the color of ice. And tonight, as you drift into dreams, you too are part of that endless creativity, a reminder that existence itself is wondrous. Imagine a crow perched high on a lamppost, its feathers gleaming black in the sunlight, its head tilted just so as it studies the world below. At first glance, it seems like an ordinary bird, a common presence in cities and fields alike. But behind those dark eyes lies an intelligence both surprising and unsettling. For crows, unlike many animals, can recognize human faces. They can remember them for years. And in this skill lies a story of memory, judgment, and a kind of social awareness that feels uncannily close to our own. Scientists once conducted experiments to test this ability. People wearing masks captured and released crows. Years later, when those same masked figures reappeared, the birds reacted instantly, scolding, warning, even mobbing them. The memory of the dangerous face had not faded. What's more, the crows passed that memory to others, warning their companions of specific humans who posed a threat. A single crow's experience became community knowledge, a thread woven into the collective mind of the flock. But it isn't only grudges that crows remember. They also recognize kindness. In neighborhoods where people feed them regularly, crows have been known to leave gifts in return: shiny pebbles, bits of glass, tiny tokens carried in their beaks and left behind as though in gratitude. These offerings may be simple, but they are profound in what they suggest. That crows not only remember us, but judge us, distinguishing friend from foe, choosing to reciprocate trust with trust. Imagine walking through a quiet park. A crow watches you from a branch. Its head tilts, its eyes narrow, and for a moment you feel its gaze as keenly as if another person were watching. There is awareness there, a presence that feels more than animal instinct. Perhaps the crow has seen you before. Perhaps it knows you, carries a memory of your face in its mind. In that moment, the line between human and animal feels thinner, the distance between species bridged by recognition. Crows are part of a family of birds called corvids, which includes ravens, magpies, and jays, all renowned for their intelligence. They solve puzzles, use tools, and even seem to understand cause and effect. In some studies, crows bent wires into hooks to pull food from containers. Others dropped nuts onto roads, waiting for cars to crack the shells, then swooping down when the light turned red and traffic stopped. These acts are not simple reflexes. They are strategies, crafted with creativity. There is also a cultural richness to crows. In many myths and traditions, they are messengers, tricksters, or symbols of transformation. Some Native American stories speak of Raven as the bringer of light to the world. In Norse mythology, Odin's ravens Hugin and Munin thought and memory fly across the world each day, bringing back news. Perhaps these tales arise not only from imagination, but from observation, from the recognition that crows are not ordinary birds, but creatures that watch, remember, and act with intention. As you listen tonight, let yourself imagine a world seen through crows' eyes. You remember faces, not just shapes but details: the curve of a smile, the tilt of a brow. You know who has helped you and who has harmed you. You carry those memories not only for yourself, but for your community, passing warnings and blessings alike through your calls. You live not only in the present, but in a web of recognition and story, just as humans do. There is a quiet reassurance in this. The crow reminds us that memory is not ours alone. Awareness, judgment, even gratitude exist across the living world. We are not isolated in our intelligence, we are part of a continuum. To know that other beings remember us, that they hold us in their minds, is to feel a kind of connection, a thread between lives. Breathe slowly now, as though you are sitting beneath a tree, a crow perched above, watching calmly. Inhale the crisp air of morning, exhale the weight of the day. Feel yourself seen, not in judgment, but in recognition. You are part of a larger story, noticed and remembered, just as you notice and remember others. When you drift into sleep, carry with you the image of a crow tilting its head, black feathers shimmering, eyes bright with intelligence. It studies you, not as a stranger, but as part of its world. In its mind, you are remembered. In its story, you have a place. That awareness is quiet, but it is real, a reminder that even in the vast sky, voices watch and recall. And in that shared memory, you are never truly alone. Beneath the surface of warm, shimmering seas, dolphins move like silver shadows, swift and playful, their bodies slicing through water with effortless grace. They leap into the air, spin, and dive, filling the ocean with whistles and clicks that echo like music. But hidden in these sounds is something even more remarkable, a language of names. For dolphins, each individual carries a unique whistle, a signature sound that functions much like our own names. From the moment a calf is born, it develops its own distinctive whistle, shaped by its early calls and the voices of its mother. This sound becomes its identity, a pattern that will stay with it for life. Other dolphins learn that whistle, remember it, and use it to call out. In the vastness of the ocean, where sight fades quickly and distances are immense, these whistles are lifelines. They say, "I am here, where are you?" and "Come to me." Hence, imagine swimming through blue water, hearing the chorus of whistles surrounding you. Each one belongs to someone, a friend, a sibling, a mate. When dolphins are separated, they call one another by name, and the reunion is filled with clicks, splashes, and leaping joy. These calls echo like roll call in the sea, ensuring no one is lost, that every voice is answered. Scientists have tested this ability, playing recordings of dolphins' signature whistles to see how they respond. Time and again, the dolphins turn immediately toward the sound, recognizing it instantly, even if years have passed. It is as though they carry a memory of each other deep within them, a recognition that never fades. This ability suggests a form of self-awareness and social intelligence rare in the animal kingdom, a sign that dolphins not only know each other, but also know themselves. Picture a pod of dolphins now, gliding through turquoise water. Their bodies move in synchrony, their whistles weaving together like a chorus. One calls, another responds, and the group stays united. The ocean may be vast and dangerous, but in their voices lies safety. Each dolphin carries not only its own name, but also the names of others, a living map of identity that stretches across miles of sea. There is something soothing in imagining this underwater world, full of invisible threads connecting one life to another. Just as we call each other by name, feeling the warmth of recognition, so too do dolphins carry the comfort of being known. To be called is to belong. To be remembered is to be part of something larger. And the dolphins remind us that even in the vast ocean, no one is truly alone when their name is carried in the voices of others. Beyond names, dolphins live in societies filled with complexity. They cooperate in hunts, encircle schools of fish, and share food. They play, chasing bubbles, and leaping together as though joy itself were part of their survival. They even seem to comfort one another, staying close to injured companions, circling protectively. Their voices echo not only information, but emotion, excitement, reassurance, perhaps even affection. To swim among them would be to hear a world alive with meaning, a living language of sound and presence. As you listen tonight, imagine your own name, whispered gently in the sea, called out by voices that care for you. Feel the warmth of recognition, the comfort of being remembered. You are not faceless, not forgotten. Like the dolphins, you are carried in the memory of others, called to when you drift too far, welcomed when you return. There is a calm in knowing this, that identity is not solitary. It is shared, echoed, sustained by community. The dolphins teach us that even in the widest oceans, belonging is possible. Even in distance, connection endures. Breathe slowly now, as though you are rising and diving with them. Inhale as you crest the surface, exhale as you glide below. With each breath, imagine your own voice joining theirs, a sound of belonging carried through invisible waters. You are part of a chorus, a harmony that stretches across space and time. When you drift into sleep tonight, picture dolphins weaving through moonlit waves, their whistles rising like stars in water. Each call is a name, each name a reminder. You are known, you are remembered, you are never alone. Across the wide savannas of Africa, where grass stretches toward the horizon and trees rise like islands, herds of elephants move with slow majesty. Their steps are heavy but deliberate, each one pressing deep into the earth. They are giants in every sense, massive bodies, powerful trunks, ears like great sails. And yet, beneath this size, lies a sensitivity so profound it seems almost magical. For elephants can detect storms from hundreds of miles away, hearing the whispers of the earth and sky long before the clouds appear. An elephant's ears are not only for cooling or display. They are finely tuned receivers, able to pick up infrasonic sounds, low-frequency rumbles far below the range of human hearing. Thunder rolling across distant plains, the shifting of weather systems, even vibrations carried through the ground, all of these become signals the elephants can sense. Long before rain darkens the horizon, they know it is coming. Long before rivers swell, they are already on the move, guiding their herds toward water and shelter. Picture a herd beneath the morning sunday. They graze quietly, calves weaving between their mother's legs. Then, suddenly, one lifts its head, ears spread wide, trunk raised. It listens not with panic, but with calm attention. Somewhere far away, a storm is brewing. To us, the air is still, the sky clear. But to the elephant, the earth is already speaking. A deep rumble has traveled across miles of soil, a message carried by vibrations. Without hesitation, the herd begins to move, trusting the unseen guidance. This ability is not only for weather. Elephants communicate with each other using similar low rumbles, carrying messages across great distances. A call made by one elephant can travel through the ground for kilometers, felt by the sensitive pads of another's feet. In this way, herds separated by miles can remain connected, aware of each other's movements and needs. Their society is built not just on sight or sound, but on a shared listening to the earth itself. There is something soothing in imagining this. Giants, walking quietly, guided not by fear, but by patience, attuned to whispers we cannot hear. While we look to the sky for signs, they feel the ground. While we wait for storms to arrive, they are already moving, already preparing. Their wisdom is not hurried, not loud. It is steady, ancient, and deeply rooted in the rhythms of the planet. Elephants remind us that strength is not only about size. It is also about awareness, about listening to what others miss, about being attuned to the faint signals of change. In our own lives, storms may come uncertainties, challenges, shifts we cannot yet see. But like elephants, we too can learn to listen for the early signs, to trust our deeper senses, to move calmly towards safety before the clouds break. Imagine yourself as one of them now. Your body is immense, your breath slow, your heart steady. Beneath your feet, the ground hums with hidden messages. You feel the pulse of rain hundreds of miles away, the shift of wind across unseen landscapes. You are connected not only to your herd, but to the earth itself. In this awareness, you are never caught off guard. You are always moving in rhythm with what is to come. Breathe slowly, in rhythm with their steps. Inhale as though you are filling your lungs with the vastness of the savanna. Exhale as though you are releasing worry into the ground. With each breath, you join the herd, steady and calm, trusting the unseen signals that guide you. There is also a tenderness in elephants that matches their sensitivity. They comfort one another with gentle touches, wrapping trunks around companions, lingering in affection. They mourn their dead, standing vigil over bones, returning to places of loss again and again. To be so large, so strong, and yet so gentle is a paradox that only deepens their mystery. They are giants, yes, but giants who listen, who care, who remember. As you drift towards sleep tonight, carry their lesson with you. You do not need to rush. You do not need to fear the storms. You can listen quietly, sense the changes, and move with patience. You can trust that you, too, are connected to something larger, something steady beneath the surface. Close your eyes and picture the herd now, moving through tall grass as clouds gather in the distance. The air is heavy, the earth humming softly, and the elephants are already walking toward shelter. You are with them, each step sure, each breath calm. Around you, the world feels vast, but you are not small. You are part of its rhythm, attuned to its whispers. And as the first drops of rain fall far away, you are already safe, already resting, already at peace. Far below the surface of the sea, in a world where light fades into endless blue, giants drift with quiet grace. They are humpback whales, vast beings whose presence humbles us. Yet, it is not their size alone that captures the imagination. It is their voices. For whales sing long, haunting songs that travel through the water for hundreds of miles, weaving patterns of sound that turn the ocean into a living concert hall. A whale's song is not a brief melody. It can last for hours, looping and repeating in elaborate cycles of moans, cries, and whispers. Each note carries through water, resonating like music in a cathedral. And what makes these songs even more astonishing is that they change. Over months and years, whales collectively alter their songs, dropping some phrases, adding new ones, reshaping the melody as though the entire population agrees on a remix. Across oceans, these changes ripple outward, one group learning from another until a new version spreads like a tide of sound. Imagine floating in the deep, listening as the sea itself seems to breathe. A distant voice begins, low and resonant, like thunder softened into song. Another joins, higher, weaving a counterpoint. Soon the ocean is filled with layered voices, each whale contributing to a chorus that no human has fully deciphered. Is it courtship, communication, or something more mysterious, an art form carried out for its own sake, beauty for the joy of beauty? Whatever the reason, their voices feel timeless, as though you are hearing the heartbeat of the planet expressed in sound. Scientists record these songs and chart their changes, watching as entire populations shift their melodies over time. Sometimes, within a single year, a new theme emerges, spreading like a cultural wave across the ocean. It is as though the whales carry not only biology, but culture, traditions written in sound instead of ink. Each note becomes a thread connecting one generation to the next, a reminder that memory and creativity are not uniquely human. Picture yourself drifting with them now. The water around you is calm, the light dim, and from the distance comes a song so deep it vibrates through your chest. You feel not only the sound but the presence behind it, a giant being somewhere in the blue, unseen yet near. The song is slow, patient, deliberate. You let it guide your breath, each inhale matching a rising phrase, each exhale flowing with the falling tones. In this rhythm, you find peace, as if the whale itself is carrying you deeper into rest. There is something profoundly comforting in the idea that the ocean itself sings. It reminds us that communication is not limited to words or gestures. It can be vibration, resonance, music carried through water. Whales show us that even in the darkest depths, life creates beauty. Even in silence, voices emerge. Even in isolation, there is connection. The songs of whales also carry mystery. Some patterns are so complex they rival the structures of human music. Choruses can last for hours, with verses and refrains that repeat like the movements of a symphony. To hear them is to feel part of something vast and unknowable, a story older than humanity, still unfolding in the sea. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself wrapped in those songs. The water cradles you, buoyant and still. Around you, voices echo, not frightening, but soothing. Each note is a lullaby, a reminder that life endures, that beauty exists even in hidden places. The whales sing not only to each other, but to the ocean itself, filling its emptiness with presence. You, too, can let their voices fill you, easing you toward calm, guiding you into sleep. Perhaps tomorrow, scientists will understand more. Perhaps they will discover that the songs map the oceans or carry knowledge across generations. But tonight, the meaning is simpler. It is the comfort of sound, the embrace of rhythm, the reassurance that you are part of a world alive with music. Breathe slowly now, as though you are part of that chorus. Inhale the deep tones of the sea. Exhale the calm of its endless expanse. With each breath, you join the whales in their timeless hymn, carried on waves older than memory. When your eyes close, imagine drifting down into darkness, stars of bioluminescence flickering around you, and through it all, the steady song of whales, rising and falling like the tide. You are safe. You are held. You are part of the ocean's music. Sleep well. Dream softly, and let the voices of the deep carry you into rest.